How much is this down to Putin's personality as well? He often likes to portray himself as a macho man. I mean, are there people who support him, who are there to provide him favour, or does everyone essentially live in fear?
Well, the two, of course, are not mutually exclusive. It can be both of them. And it's fascinating at the moment to look at how ordinary Russians, when they are interviewed and contacted about what's happening in Ukraine, how they respond. They've been inculcated for so long with Russian state media propaganda that they, too, have a very limited view of what's actually happening in the outside world. Now, you'll hear a lot about the appeal of a strong leader to Russia and how you have to demonstrate that you are sufficiently manly to run the country. But at the same time, we need to remember that Putin is also under challenge from his own domestic economy and the ways in which Russians eventually might realize the track down which they've been led.
Military analysts often talk about creating an off-ramp or a golden bridge across which your enemy is able to retreat. Is that anywhere in sight? Is that possible? Or has Putin gone so far down his rabbit hole that it's very hard to turn him around?
Well, you mentioned before the procession of diplomats and leaders that were going to Moscow to try to cajole President Putin out of invading. But the problem then is the same as the problem now. The gap between what President Putin thinks is happening in the world and what the rest of the world sees seems pretty much unbridgeable. And so too with his demands on Ukraine, what he's actually stated that he wanted, which is effectively not short of eliminating Ukraine as a state and eliminating Ukrainians as a people and fulfilling his own fantasy of them actually being the same as Russians and not a separate independent nation. When the demands are so absolute, it's hard to see how there can be any compromise there. And of course, offering Putin what he wants, trying to persuade the Ukrainians to make concessions, to give Putin what he wants, to roll back their own sovereignty, will, of course, only encourage him further. Just as we've seen the pattern of Russian military interventions over the last couple of decades, once and again, actually reinforcing in President Putin's mind that military intervention and military assault is the best way to get his way, because other countries will back down, and the West in particular, being so afraid of confronting Putin, will assist Russia in imposing terms on its victims.